The 21 Laws of Machiavellian Power, banned by governments worldwide. What if I told you there's a book so dangerous that governments have tried to ban it for over 500 years? What if the most powerful people on Earth followed 21 specific laws that they desperately don't want you to know? I'm about to reveal Machiavelli's 21 laws of power that have been used by kings, dictators, CEOs, and world leaders to control nations and amass unimaginable wealth and influence. But I'm warning you right now, this knowledge is not for everyone. These laws are so powerful, so ruthless, that they can fundamentally change who you are. Some of you will gain incredible power. Others will be disturbed by what you learn today. If you're ready to learn what the elite don't want you to know, hit that like button right now. Comment power if you can handle the truth about how the world really works. Because once you learn these 21 laws, there's no going back to being naive about power. First hook, the forbidden book. In 1513, Niccolò Machiavelli wrote The Prince, a book so controversial, so revealing about the nature of power, that it was immediately banned by the Catholic Church and condemned by governments across Europe. Why? Because Machiavelli didn't write about how power should work in an ideal world. He wrote about how power actually works in the real world. He exposed the dark psychological tactics that rulers use to maintain control. He revealed the manipulation techniques that separate the powerful from the powerless. He decoded the hidden laws that govern human behavior and social dynamics. For 5 centuries, the elite have studied Machiavelli in private while keeping his teachings away from the masses. They understand that knowledge is power, and power shared is power lost. But today I'm going to break that silence. I'm going to give you the 21 most powerful laws extracted from Machiavelli's works, laws that have been used to build empires, topple governments, and create billionaires. These aren't theories, these are weapons. And after today, you'll have access to the same arsenal that the world's most powerful people use every single day. Second hook, the power elite's secret. Before we dive into the laws, you need to understand something that most people never realize. There are 2 different worlds operating simultaneously. There's the world that ordinary people live in, where they believe in fairness, honesty, and playing by the rules. And there's the world that powerful people live in, where they understand that power has its own rules that have nothing to do with morality. The powerful don't succeed because they're lucky or because they're good people. They succeed because they understand and apply laws of human psychology that most people are completely unaware of. While you're trying to be nice and hoping that good things will happen to good people, they're strategically positioning themselves, manipulating perceptions, and accumulating power through calculated moves. This isn't about being evil. This is about understanding reality. Machiavelli wasn't teaching people to be cruel. He was teaching them to be effective in a world where power determines outcomes. And if you want to succeed in business, relationships, leadership, or any area where human psychology matters, you need to understand these laws, whether you choose to use them or not. Because if you don't understand the game, you'll always be a pawn in someone else's game. Law 1. Never outshine the master. The first law is one of the most important and most violated. Never outshine the master. Machiavelli observed that making your superiors look foolish or incompetent, even unintentionally, is one of the fastest ways to destroy your own position. This law operates on a fundamental principle of human psychology. People in power are deeply insecure about that power. They achieve their position by outcompeting others, so they're constantly worried about being outcompeted themselves. When you make your boss look bad in a meeting, when you solve a problem they couldn't solve, when you get credit for an idea they should have had, you're triggering their deepest fear, that you might replace them. The master practitioners of this law know how to shine without outshining. They find ways to make their superiors look good while advancing their own position. They give credit upward and take responsibility downward. They understand that power is not a zero-sum game if you play it correctly. You can gain power by helping others maintain theirs. This is why some of the most talented people never advance, while others with less obvious talent rise quickly. It's not about what you can do. It's about how you make others feel about what you can do. Master this first law, and you'll avoid one of the most common career and relationship mistakes that destroy promising people. Law 2. Never put too much. Trust in friends. Law number 2 will make you uncomfortable. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Machiavelli understood something about human nature that most people refuse to accept. Friends can become your greatest enemies because they know your weaknesses intimately. Friends often harbor secret resentments. They compare themselves to you constantly. They feel entitled to your success because they knew you when. And when opportunity arises, they may betray you precisely because they think they understand you completely. Enemies, on the other hand, have clear motivations. You know where you stand with them, and when you convert an enemy into an ally, they often become more loyal than original friends because they have something to prove. This doesn't mean you should distrust everyone or avoid friendships. It means you should maintain professional boundaries even with friends and never give anyone, no matter how close, the power to destroy you completely. The most successful leaders hire the best people available, regardless of personal relationships. They promote based on competence, not friendship. They make decisions based on strategy, not emotion. This law protects you from one of the most painful forms of betrayal while teaching you to see potential allies in unexpected places. Your biggest competitor today could become your most valuable partner tomorrow if you play the game correctly. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. Law 3 is the foundation of all strategic thinking. Conceal your intentions. Machiavelli knew that predictability is vulnerability. When people know what you're planning, they can prepare countermeasures. When they can't predict your moves, they can't defend against them. This law operates on multiple levels. On the surface level, it's about not revealing your business plans to competitors or your relationship intentions too early in dating. On a deeper level, it's about understanding that people react to their perception of your intentions, not your actual intentions. And perceptions can be managed. Master practitioners of this law use misdirection. They might publicly pursue one goal while privately working toward another. They might appear to be in one position while actually holding a completely different position. They understand that in any competitive situation, information asymmetry creates advantage. The more you know about others' intentions while concealing your own, the more strategic options you have. This law also protects you from premature judgment and opposition. People often resist ideas simply because they didn't think of them first. By concealing your intentions and allowing others to feel involved in developing the plan, you can achieve your goals with less resistance. The most powerful implementations of this law make your eventual success appear inevitable rather than calculated. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. Law 4 is about the power of strategic silence. Always say less than necessary. Machiavelli understood that speech is often weakness disguised as strength. The more you talk, the more you reveal about your thoughts, plans, and vulnerabilities. Silence creates mystery, and mystery creates power. When you speak less, others project their own meanings onto your words. They imagine you know more than you're saying. They assume your silence indicates wisdom or hidden knowledge. This law is particularly powerful in negotiations, leadership situations, and social dynamics. The person who speaks first often loses. The person who reveals their position first gives up leverage. This doesn't mean being antisocial or never speaking. It means being intentional with your words. Every sentence should serve a purpose. Every revelation should be calculated. Master practitioners of this law know how to use pauses, how to let others fill silences with their own assumptions, how to say exactly enough to achieve their objective without saying more. When you do speak, your words carry more weight because they're rare. People listen more carefully when you're known for speaking thoughtfully rather than constantly. This law also protects you from making commitments you can't keep, revealing information that can be used against you, and appearing desperate or needy through over-explanation. Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Law 5 addresses the most valuable asset you can build. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Machiavelli knew that reputation is often more important than reality. How people perceive you determines how they treat you, what opportunities they offer you, and how much power they're willing to give you. Your reputation works for you even when you're not present. It influences decisions about you made in rooms you'll never enter. It creates expectations that can either open doors or close them before you even approach. This law operates on the principle that humans are social creatures who rely heavily on social proof and consensus when making decisions about trust, value, and worthiness. Building a powerful reputation requires consistent actions over time that reinforce a specific narrative about who you are and what you represent. It's not about being perfect. It's about being predictably excellent in the areas that matter most for your goals. Master practitioners of this law understand that reputation is both offensive and defensive. A strong reputation attracts opportunities and alliances while protecting against attacks and betrayals. The most sophisticated application of this law involves crafting multiple reputation layers: your public reputation, your professional reputation, your industry reputation, and your personal reputation among close contacts. Each layer serves different strategic purposes while reinforcing your overall position in any social or professional hierarchy. If these laws are opening your eyes to how power really works, smash that like button. Comment Machiavelli if you're starting to see the matrix of social dynamics. And subscribe because I'm about to reveal the most dangerous laws that governments tried to suppress. Law 6. Court attention at all costs law. 6 might surprise you. Court attention at all costs. Machiavelli understood that in a world with infinite distractions and limited attention spans, visibility equals viability. If people aren't aware of you, you don't exist in their reality. This law operates on the principle that human attention is the most valuable currency in any social system. Attention creates opportunities, relationships, and influence. Without attention, even the most talented people remain powerless. But this law has a crucial nuance. It's not about seeking any attention. It's about seeking the right kind of attention from the right people at the right time. Master practitioners of this law understand that controversy can be more valuable than consensus, that being talked about negatively is often better than not being talked about at all, and that memorable is more important than likable. They know how to create compelling narratives around their actions, how to time their moves for maximum visibility, and how to maintain presence in the minds of people who matter. The most sophisticated application involves understanding attention economics, knowing when to be visible and when to be invisible, when to speak and when to let others speak about you, when to be controversial and when to be conventional. This law also teaches you to recognize when others are using attention tactics against you and how to respond strategically rather than emotionally. Law 7. Get others to do the work. Law 7 is about leveraging human resources. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. This law sounds harsh, but Machiavelli understood that leadership fundamentally involves organizing other people's efforts toward your vision and objectives. The most successful people aren't necessarily the hardest workers. They're the best organizers of other people's work. They understand how to identify talent, motivate performance, and coordinate efforts for maximum impact. This law operates on the principle that your personal capacity for work has limits, but your capacity for organizing work is potentially unlimited. Master practitioners of this law know how to delegate effectively, how to create systems that produce results without their constant involvement, and how to build teams that multiply their personal effectiveness. They understand that taking credit isn't about stealing recognition. It's about accepting responsibility for results and maintaining the authority necessary to continue leading effectively. The most sophisticated application involves creating win-win scenarios where others benefit from doing work that serves your objectives. You provide vision, direction, and opportunity while they provide skills, effort, and execution. This law also teaches you to recognize when you're being used by others and how to ensure your contributions are properly valued and rewarded. Law 8. Make other people come to you. Law 8 is about positioning and leverage. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. Machiavelli knew that the person who controls the location and timing of interactions controls the outcome of those interactions. When others come to you, they're operating in your environment, on your timeline, under your conditions. This automatically gives you psychological and strategic advantages that can determine the success of any negotiation or relationship. This law operates on the principle that movement toward you indicates need, interest, or weakness on their part, while your stationary position indicates strength, desirability, or independence. Master practitioners of this law know how to create value that others want to access, how to position themselves as scarce resources, and how to make their availability feel like an opportunity rather than an obligation. They understand that desperation repels while desirability attracts, and that the person who needs the interaction less has more power in the interaction. The most sophisticated application involves creating systems and processes that naturally draw people toward you rather than requiring you to chase opportunities or relationships. This might involve building a reputation that attracts opportunities, creating content that draws an audience, or developing skills that make others seek your expertise. Law 9. Win through actions, not argument law. 9 addresses one of the most common mistakes people make. Win through your actions, never through argument. Machiavelli understood that arguments engage people's ego and defensive mechanisms, while results speak to their practical interests and rational self-interest. When you argue with someone, even if you're right, you're forcing them to choose between being wrong and maintaining their self-image. Most people will choose to maintain their self-image, even when confronted with clear evidence of their error. This law operates on the principle that humans are not primarily rational creatures. They're rationalizing creatures who use logic to justify decisions made emotionally. Master practitioners of this law focus their energy on producing results rather than winning debates. They let their success do the talking, while avoiding the ego conflicts that come with direct intellectual confrontation. They understand that proving someone wrong publicly often creates an enemy, while proving your point through results often creates respect or even admiration. This law is particularly powerful in professional environments where you might disagree with strategies, policies, or decisions. Instead of arguing against the current approach, you demonstrate a better approach through your actions and results. When your method produces superior outcomes, others naturally gravitate toward your approach without feeling like they lost an argument. Law 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Law 10 deals with psychological contagion. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. Machiavelli observed that emotional states, attitudes, and even circumstances can spread from person to person through social contact. Modern research confirms this ancient insight. Humans unconsciously mirror the emotions, energy levels, and behavioral patterns of people they spend time with. This happens through mirror neurons and social conditioning that operates below conscious awareness. This law operates on the principle that your social environment shapes your psychological state, which influences your decision-making, which determines your results. This doesn't mean being cruel to people who are struggling, but it does mean being strategic about who you spend significant time with, especially during important periods of your life. Master practitioners of this law surround themselves with people who embody the qualities, attitudes, and energy levels they want to develop in themselves. The most sophisticated application involves recognizing that some people drain your energy and optimism while others enhance it, and making conscious choices about social contact based on this awareness. This law also teaches you to monitor your own emotional state and ensure you're not unconsciously spreading negative energy that repels opportunities and relationships. Your social circle becomes your destiny because it shapes your daily psychological environment, which influences your thoughts, feelings, and actions over time. Law 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. Law 11 is about creating strategic value. Learn to keep people dependent on you. Machiavelli understood that independence is the foundation of power, while dependence is the foundation of vulnerability. This law operates on the principle that people protect and advance what they need, while they ignore or eliminate what they don't need. By making yourself indispensable to important people in your life, you create insurance against betrayal, abandonment, or replacement. This doesn't mean creating unhealthy codependency, but rather developing unique skills, knowledge, relationships, or resources that others find valuable and difficult to replace. Master practitioners of this law identify what people need most and position themselves as the best or only source for meeting those needs. The most sophisticated application involves creating mutual dependency, where both parties benefit from the relationship, but neither can easily replace the other. This creates stable, long-term alliances that survive temporary conflicts or competing opportunities. When applied ethically, this law involves adding genuine value to others' lives in ways that also serve your interests, creating win-win relationships that both parties want to maintain. The key is being needed for positive reasons rather than manipulative ones. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity law. 12 introduces strategic authenticity. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Machiavelli knew that occasional acts of honesty and generosity can be more persuasive than consistent manipulation or self-interest. This law operates on the principle that humans have a strong reciprocity bias. When someone does something nice for us, we feel obligated to do something nice for them in return. Strategic honesty and generosity also lower people's defenses because they signal trustworthiness and goodwill, making others more open to influence. Master practitioners of this law know when to be generous with their time, resources, or information in ways that create gratitude and obligation without significant cost to themselves. They understand that small, unexpected kindnesses often create more loyalty than large, expected ones. The most sophisticated use involves timing, honesty and generosity for maximum impact, being generous when others are struggling, being honest when others expect deception, being helpful when others are defensive. This creates powerful psychological contrasts that make you memorable and trusted. This law doesn't advocate being fake or manipulative, but rather being intentional about when and how you display your positive qualities for maximum relational and strategic benefit. Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to self-interest law. 13 is about effective persuasion. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. Machiavelli understood that people are fundamentally motivated by their own needs and desires, not by abstract principles or emotional appeals. This law operates on the principle that self-interest is a more reliable motivator than altruism, because self-interest is consistent while emotions and moral feelings fluctuate. When you appeal to someone's self-interest, you're giving them rational reasons to help you that they can justify to themselves and others. Instead of asking for favors based on past relationships or future gratitude, master practitioners frame requests in terms of mutual benefit or advantage to the other person. They research what others want and need, then position their requests as opportunities for others to achieve their own objectives. The most sophisticated application involves identifying hidden self-interests that others might not even be aware of, then crafting appeals that address those underlying motivations. This creates situations where helping you feels like a smart decision rather than a charitable act. When applied ethically, this law involves creating genuine value for others while achieving your own objectives, making the relationship beneficial for everyone involved. The key is finding authentic alignment between your needs and others' interests. Law 14. Pose as a friend. Work as a spy. Law 14 deals with information gathering. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. Machiavelli knew that information is power, and the best information comes from people who trust you enough to speak freely. This law operates on the principle that knowledge of others' plans, weaknesses, motivations, and relationships gives you strategic advantages in any competitive situation. People reveal their true thoughts and intentions most readily to those they perceive as allies or confidants. This doesn't mean being deceptive or betraying confidences, but rather being an active listener who pays attention to what people reveal about themselves, their relationships, and their situations. Master practitioners develop genuine curiosity about others while maintaining awareness of how that information might be strategically relevant. The most sophisticated application involves becoming someone others naturally want to confide in, being trustworthy with small secrets to gain access to larger ones, being a good listener, being non-judgmental about others' situations. This creates a network of information sources who provide intelligence without realizing they're doing so. When applied ethically, this law involves being observant and socially intelligent without violating trust or using sensitive information to harm others. The goal is understanding your environment better, not exploiting or manipulating others. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally law. 15 is perhaps the most controversial. Crush your enemy totally. Machiavelli understood that partial victories often create more problems than complete defeats, because wounded enemies seek revenge, while defeated enemies seek peace. This law operates on the principle that ongoing conflicts drain resources and create uncertainty, while decisive victories create stability and clear resolution. Half measures, in competitive situations, often prolong conflict and create opportunities for enemies to regroup and counterattack. This doesn't necessarily mean destroying people, but rather making opposition to you so costly or futile that potential enemies choose cooperation or avoidance instead. Master practitioners focus their efforts to create overwhelming advantages in critical confrontations rather than engaging in prolonged battles of attrition. The most sophisticated application involves making victory so complete and obvious that others learn from the example and choose not to challenge you in the future. This creates deterrent effects that prevent future conflicts while demonstrating the consequences of opposition. In contemporary contexts, this often means outcompeting rivals so thoroughly in business or other arenas that they redirect their efforts elsewhere, rather than continuing to compete directly. The goal is discouraging opposition through demonstrated superiority, rather than through aggression or cruelty. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect. Law 16 addresses scarcity psychology. Use absence to increase respect and honor. Machiavelli observed that familiarity breeds contempt, while scarcity creates value, and that strategic withdrawal can be more powerful than constant presence. This law operates on the principle that humans value what's rare or difficult to obtain more highly than what's easily accessible. Constant availability makes you appear common and reduces others' appreciation for your presence and contributions. Master practitioners know when to be present and when to be absent, when to be available and when to be scarce, when to engage and when to withdraw. They understand that periodic absence makes their eventual presence more impactful and their attention more valuable. The most sophisticated application involves creating systems where your absence is noticed and missed, demonstrating your value through strategic withdrawal rather than constant demonstration. This creates situations where others seek you out rather than taking your presence for granted. In relationships, this law teaches the importance of maintaining your own life interests and identity rather than becoming completely absorbed in any single relationship. This maintains attraction and respect while preventing the resentment that often comes with over-availability. Law 17. Keep others in suspended terror. Law 17 deals with strategic unpredictability. Keep others in suspended terror by cultivating an air of unpredictability. Machiavelli understood that predictable people are easily managed and manipulated, while unpredictable people are respected and feared. This law operates on the principle that uncertainty creates anxiety, and anxiety makes people more cautious and respectful in their interactions with you. When others can't predict how you'll respond to different situations, they tend to treat you more carefully and give you more consideration. This doesn't mean being random or chaotic, but rather being inconsistent enough in your responses that others can't easily categorize or manipulate you. Master practitioners maintain core principles while varying their methods and timing in ways that keep others guessing. The most sophisticated application involves strategic unpredictability, being inconsistent about timing, methods, and responses, while remaining consistent about values and ultimate objectives. This creates an aura of mystery and competence that enhances your reputation and influence. When applied ethically, this law involves being complex and multifaceted rather than manipulative, showing different aspects of your personality and capabilities in different situations. The goal is preventing others from taking you for granted or thinking they have you figured out completely. Law 18. Do not build. Fortresses Law 18 warns against isolation. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. Machiavelli knew that while fortresses provide security, they also create vulnerability by cutting you off from information, alliances, and opportunities. This law operates on the principle that in complex social systems, isolation equals obsolescence. Your strength comes from your connections, not from your defenses. People who retreat behind walls, whether physical, social, or psychological, lose touch with changing circumstances and emerging opportunities. Master practitioners maintain open communication channels with diverse groups of people, even those they disagree with or compete against. They understand that information, relationships, and opportunities flow through networks, and isolation interrupts that flow. The most sophisticated application involves building influence through connection rather than control, creating value through collaboration rather than domination. This requires vulnerability and risk, but creates more sustainable power than defensive isolation. In contemporary contexts, this law warns against creating echo chambers, avoiding diverse perspectives, or becoming so focused on security that you miss opportunities for growth and influence. The goal is strategic openness that maintains safety while enabling continued learning and adaptation. Law 19. Know who you're dealing with law. 19 emphasizes strategic intelligence. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. Machiavelli understood that different people have different capacities for forgiveness, revenge, influence, and memory. This law operates on the principle that social and political consequences vary dramatically depending on who you cross, how you cross them, and what resources they have for retaliation. Some people forget quickly and forgive easily, while others remember forever and seek elaborate revenge. Master practitioners invest time in understanding the personalities, connections, capabilities, and motivations of important people in their environment. They treat everyone with basic respect, while being especially careful with those who have long memories and significant power. The most sophisticated application involves developing detailed mental models of key people's psychology, trigger points, values, and behavioral patterns. This allows you to predict reactions, avoid unnecessary conflicts, and navigate relationships more effectively. This law is fundamentally about risk management, understanding that some conflicts cost more than others and that some enemies are more dangerous than others. The goal is choosing your battles wisely rather than treating all relationships and conflicts as equivalent. Law 20. Do not commit to anyone. Law 20 addresses strategic flexibility. Do not commit to anyone but be courted by all. Machiavelli knew that exclusive commitments limit your options, while maintaining flexibility maximizes your opportunities and leverage. This law operates on the principle that your power comes from your ability to choose among alternatives, and commitments reduce the number of alternatives available to you. When you're committed to one option, you lose negotiating power with that option and access to other options. Master practitioners maintain multiple relationships, opportunities, and options while avoiding exclusive commitments that would limit their strategic flexibility. They understand that being desired by many is more powerful than being committed to one. The most sophisticated application involves creating value for multiple parties while maintaining independence so that others compete for your attention and commitment. This requires delivering results without giving up autonomy or becoming dependent on any single relationship or opportunity. This law applies differently to personal relationships versus professional ones and requires careful calibration to avoid appearing uncommitted or unreliable. The goal is maintaining options and leverage while still being trustworthy and valuable to others. Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Law 21 is the final and perhaps most sophisticated. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. seem dumber than your mark. Machiavelli understood that people's ego and vanity often blind them to strategic threats, and that appearing less intelligent or capable than you are can be a powerful advantage. This law operates on the principle that people lower their guard around those they perceive as inferior or non-threatening. By appearing less capable than you are, you gain access to information and opportunities that would be hidden from someone perceived as a threat. Master practitioners know how to ask naive questions that reveal important information, how to appear confused in ways that make others explain their strategies, and how to seem harmless while gathering intelligence. They understand that pride and ego make people want to demonstrate their superiority by explaining things to those they consider less intelligent. The most sophisticated application involves strategic incompetence, appearing to struggle with things you actually understand well, which causes others to underestimate your capabilities and reveal their own. This creates situations where you have more information and better strategic position than others realize. When applied ethically, this law involves being humble and curious rather than deceptive, asking genuine questions while being strategic about what you reveal about your own knowledge and capabilities. If these 21 laws have opened your eyes to how power really operates in the world, smash that like button right now. Comment, I see. Thematrix. If you understand that everything you thought you knew about success and influence was incomplete, subscribe and hit the notification bell, because I have more forbidden knowledge that the elite don't want you to discover. Final hook. The choice of power now. You know the 21 laws of Machiavellian power that have been used by emperors, presidents, CEOs and billionaires for over 500 years. These aren't just historical curiosities, they're the operating system that runs human society. While most people stumble through life hoping that fairness and hard work will be rewarded, the powerful use these laws to shape outcomes in their favor. You now have a choice that most people never get to make consciously. You can continue operating in the naive world where you assume everyone plays by the same rules of fairness and morality, or you can step into the sophisticated world where you understand how power actually works. You can keep wondering why less talented people advance faster than you, why some people seem to effortlessly attract opportunities and influence, why the world often seems unfair and unpredictable. Or you can start applying these laws strategically and ethically to create the life, career, and relationships you actually want. Remember, these laws operate whether you understand them or not. Other people are using them whether you approve or not. The only question is whether you'll be conscious and strategic about power dynamics, or whether you'll continue to be an unconscious participant in games you don't understand. Machiavelli didn't create these laws, he observed them. He simply had the courage to write down how power actually works, rather than how we wish it worked. These laws aren't about becoming evil or abandoning your values. They're about becoming effective in a world where effectiveness determines outcomes. You can use these laws to build businesses that create value, relationships that are mutually beneficial, and influence that serves positive purposes. Or you can ignore them and watch others who understand them surpass you repeatedly. The elite have kept this knowledge to themselves for centuries because they understand that power shared is power lost. But now you have access to the same psychological and strategic insights that have built empires and toppled governments. What you do with this knowledge is up to you. But you can never again claim ignorance about how the world really works. Study these laws, practice them ethically, master them gradually, and watch as your ability to influence outcomes, attract opportunities, and achieve your objectives transforms completely. The game of power has been playing out around you your entire life. Now you finally know the rules. Welcome to the real world. Use this knowledge wisely.